Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Live. We'll do a 20-question mock test and a hazard perception demonstration. Just trying to get my headphones in so I can hear that I'm going out live. So hopefully you guys have had a good weekend so far and enjoyed your Sunday morning. Let me get my windows up so I can see what's going on. If you guys have got a question, please put it in the chat. Welcome to another Sunday Live. I can hear myself in the background. Yeah, put any questions in the chat with a Q semicolon. It makes it a lot easier for me to find, and I'll definitely read it out. But if you don't put a Q semicolon, I may miss it, not deliberately, but just as like a comment, because there's so many of you guys that turn up on a Sunday morning, which I appreciate. But I do want to answer your questions, so I'll make it easier for me to see it and read it. Right, so let's see who's here. Zubaida, hopefully I'm saying that correct. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. You've got to be a first timer or a silent watcher. I appreciate you being here. Miriam, good morning to you. You're the next, been a while. Good morning to you. How are you? Miriam, say hello to everybody. Appreciate that. That Woolly Mammoth. Good morning. Agata, good morning. Scoopy Z. Had my fairy test on Tuesday and passed. Thank you so much for your videos. Helped a lot. First of all, congratulations on passing. Let me just go to this thing because it's a lot easier. Congratulations on passing. Appreciate you coming to the like. I've not seen your name before. So again, either you're a silent watcher, but thank you for breaking the silence, which is more important than anything else, and letting people know that you've passed. Inspiration to other people. So you are looking to take driving lessons or book your driving test. Which one's that? Have you started driving already and looking for a driving test, or are you going to start your lessons now? Abs, good morning to you. Matt, good morning to you. You rushed through your fairy test on Monday. Oh, you passed it though. We're rushing 48 out of 50. We missed it by 2. And multiple choice 60 at semi-finals and high score. Matt, well done to you. I don't advocate for rushing anybody's fairy test, but it worked for you. Congratulations on passing, and thank you for being here, because like I said, I've not seen your name before. So it's either first time here or silent watcher. And again, I appreciate you guys breaking your silence to let people know that you've passed. Appreciate that. Scooby saying he got 48 out of 50. Again, missed it by 2. Ernestina, unusual name. Good morning to you. Vanessa, good morning. Beverly, good morning. Gonna start lessons this week. I wish you luck with the lessons. It's gonna be nervy, but if you've got a decent instructor, they'll make you feel calm. But hopefully it goes well for you. All right, let me do an overview as I always do, just to make sure you guys. Oh, Matt's changed his name from the Pigman. Okay, so you have been there before. Why did you change your name? I have my exam next week. Miriam, if you've got any questions, type it in the chat. Let's send you in there next week. Confidently. If it's next week, you've got another Sunday. I'm here next Sunday. So while you're studying this week, write down any questions, bring it next week along to the live. Let's answer any questions, any doubts that you may have, and let's get you passed. Good morning. Kingsley, did my fairy test for the first time. I passed 44 out of 50 and 65. Wow, that's high. Well done to you. You are welcome, and thank you for breaking your silence, because I've not seen your name here before either. Esther's wishing everyone a good morning. Appreciate that. Binyam. That's a good morning. Failed. That should be failed. 39. So that's 11 questions wrong. You got to jump in. Hold on. And 68 has perception. 68 on has perception. Wow, that's 7 short of the full house. Right, has perception's fine. 39 on a. Was this your real test or just a mock test? Am I missing something here? I failed my theory test, so you failed it. So it's a real test. 39, 11 questions wrong. That's a lack of knowledge. If you've got 39 questions wrong, that's going to be what? 11 questions wrong. That's about 8 categories that you got wrong. What you need to do is go to the paperwork they gave you, go to that section, look on the categories. To be honest, if you was my student 39, I would go back to the drawing board, study the categories and understand the questions. Because if you're going for the real test and getting 39, that's a lack of knowledge and that's not going to change until you understand the reasons why the question or the answer is what it is. That's just suggesting a lack of knowledge. That's what I would do. Yolanda, good morning. I'm fine. Agatha. Right, this is your first. Welcome to the first live. Hopefully you learned something from it. If you've got any questions, Agatha, type it into the chat. Q semicolon. Makes it easier for me to find it. You got your test on the 17th, which is a couple of weeks away. If that's getting 1 or 2 wrong in some categories, none in other. Getting 1 or 2 wrong is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I get some wrong on my videos, and I leave it in there. It's natural. We're human. We all make mistakes at some point. As long as you're passing mock tests on a regular, that's the key. If you're taking 5 mock tests and passing once and failing 4, then that suggests you're not consistent. But I wish you luck with your test on the 17th. You've got a couple more Sundays, so you can still be coming along and learning something, asking questions. Within 10 minutes, that's not a big. It's worked for you, so we can't complain about it. But the problem with that, in my experience, most people who rush tend to fail. But like I said, it worked for you. It's done and dusted. So well done to you. All right, let me do an overview and then I'll catch up with the comments in there. Share screen would help. It's not share screen. It's like my first Sunday live. All right, let me get my cursor up so you can see where I'm going to be pointing to. Right, so multiple choice, the theory test, just in case you guys don't know who's never done it before, just starting it on your studying journey. It is 50 questions. Your 50 questions are made up of 14 different categories. I will say this again, I say every single week, because I can't believe I'm still getting questions and comments in the emails and WhatsApp, especially for those of you that still watch my videos and still saying, I went to the real test, the questions was worded differently. There was questions I never saw before. Yes, the questions are going to be worded differently. There will be questions that you have never, ever seen before, because the apps, regardless of what app you use, they are revision questions, sampled questions. Nobody knows the real questions. Only the people that's going to take the test. I know what some of them are based on feedback with the students that's gone in there from my classes. So when you are studying the apps, I can't remember who it was who got 39. This is what I'm saying. It's a lack of knowledge. Because sometimes what you guys do, you memorize, and it's not deliberate, because you've done so many mock tests, you recognize the question, you already know the answer before you go looking at the 4. And then when you go for the real test, because the question's worded differently, the brain doesn't tally with that. That's why it's important that you understand why the answer is what it is, not just question, answer, boom, done. You have to understand what the answer is. So what the question is. So when they word it differently on the real test, you know how to work it out. But anyway, 50 questions, 14 categories. If there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests going on. It's a random test. So it's not the same test for everyone. The amount of time that you have to do this test, don't do it like Matt in 10 minutes, but you have a total of 57 minutes. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of rushing. With students that I've taught who go in there and rush, even when we do it in the boot camp and they're rushing the question, when there's no time limit on it, to be honest, when we do the quizzes at the end of each day, they make the common mistake because they rushed it, didn't read it properly, didn't understand it. Do not rush. Take your time to do the test. It's better off taking 40 minutes and passing rather than I use Matt's version, 10 minutes and failing. Once you've done that, you move on to the hazard perception, which is 14 videos, 13 of them are single hazards. One of them's got a double, 2 5s. You need to average, so not average, you need to get 44 out of 75 to pass. Your average has to be 3 per video when you finished. I will do a hazard perception demonstration at the end of the mock test that we're going to be doing. What you're looking for in terms of answers is a safe outcome. It has to be a safe outcome. If it doesn't lead to safety, it's going to be wrong. There's no ifs or buts about that. Or a controlled outcome, which is normally your motorway questions and your first aid questions where the situation is being controlled with that. So that's the overview of the theory test. So let me just catch up with you guys quickly. And then we do the mock test. So pass my... thank you for one. Again, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to the live and thank you for letting me know that you've passed. Congratulations. 44, just about. I would, again, because if you, it's just a teacher in me, I suppose. You got 44, you passed it. First of all, congratulations. I would look at your paperwork and just make sure there's nothing that showed up in the category of road signs and rules of the road, because you're going to need that category for your driving test or driving lessons. So I would just brush up on that if any wrong answers showed up in those categories, because 44 is just a pass. Good morning. First of all, welcome, silent follower. I'm glad you broke his silence. And your test on the 3rd of November. So you got over a month. So got at least another 4 Sundays while you're studying. This is for all of you. While you guys are studying during the week, write down any issues that you may have. Bring it to the live. That's what this is about, for you guys to ask questions. And I can tailor the answer to you because you've asked a question rather than giving a generic answer to everyone. Sammy Travel, sorry. Good morning to you. There's lots of passes. Well done to you guys. Again, 44 out of 50. Congratulations, first of all, on passing, and thank you for being there. But 44, again, just double check roads, signs, and rules of the road. Just make sure there's nothing popping up in that. And then just restudy those categories because you need it for your lessons and driving test. 63. That's a high score. Well done. Binyam. I've done that one already. Thank you. Pass at first attempt. Congratulations on passing your videos. 48, missed it by 2, missed a 50 by 2, very 56. Well done to you. Congratulations again. Thank you for breaking your silence. I can't pronounce your name. I'm not going to try. I'll butcher that. But congratulations on passing, and thank you for breaking the silence. It's really appreciate that you guys come on here and break your silence and say that you've passed, because it does encourage and motivate other people to go and do their tests. You'd be surprised how many people think next week, and before you know it, they're studying for 6 months. Excuse me, they're studying for 6 months. What you want to do is set a schedule and get it done and dusted. It's only going to get harder as we approach 2026. When we get into 2026, it's only the theory test is going to go slightly harder. The driving test is changing. They're already trialing, but when the DVSA trials something, it means they're going to do it anyway. So they're trialing new things in the driving test. You guys want to get it done and dusted before all these new things come into play. My dog has just come into to my room. Sorry, my dog's just come in. Milo. So yeah, you guys want to try and get it done and dusted as soon as you possibly can. But that's why I say I appreciate you guys coming on and breaking your silence to say, you know what, I've passed my theory test. The videos helped. Blah blah blah. And I appreciate that. Right, so AROL TV, good morning to you. Right, I'm going to catch up with you guys. Let's start the mock test because you guys are here for that rather than me chatting. This time we share screen. Right, for those of you that are new, what we do is read the question. Which of these signs warns you of a zebra crossing? And then obviously you've got A, B, C, D. Just pick whatever you think it is. If you think it's B, for example, please put the question number and then B, put 1B. There's a delay between me and YouTube, and you and YouTube is about 30 seconds delay, unless you've got a fast internet connection. So if you don't put the question number, I can't show it on screen because I don't know if it's related to the one we're on or the previous one. So please put the question number and the letter of choice with that. So let's just catch up with some of these comments while you guys are doing that. Again, congratulations to you. Again, I appreciate you guys coming to the live and saying this. This is nice. Been watching your videos here for the last one I watched before my test. I picked 2 important clues from those videos and I passed my theory test first time. I'm glad the videos really helped you. Passed my theory test because of you on Wednesday. Congratulations, guys. Most of you getting lots of 44s. Look, 44s. Again, I appreciate you guys coming there to say this. I always struggle on questions about which flashing light belongs to which vehicle, like blue flashing for bomb disposal. Flashing lights, a simple way is amber, slow moving. That's your dust carts, tractors, anything road maintenance. Green is your doctor's cars. And blue is emergency vehicles, human life, and bomb disposal. And what's the other one they talk about? Bomb disposals and lifeguards are the 2 outside of your obvious ones, your fire engine, police, and ambulance. So just work out which one saves a human life. So blue's human life. So let me just read this out because I passed yes Saturday. Well done to you. Thank you so much. I did watch your videos a lot before my test, and the DVSA official app is good for anyone that is about to take the test. Use the DVSA one, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Congratulations on passing. And again, thank you for being here and let me know that you've passed. The DVSA app is decent. The DVSA app is decent, but I just don't like the interface. I prefer the Driving Test Success. But for all of you out there using apps or want to know which app to use, you can use any app that you choose. Just make sure it's paid version. Most of them are $4.99. Do not go for the free version. It's stripped down. But for me personally, Driving Test Success is the interface is just easier to use. It's funny because my student this week on my intensive driving course was using the DVSA, and he showed me bits and pieces on the phone, and it was really odd to try to get around their app as opposed to maybe I just don't know it. Maybe I just need to revisit that and see, reintroduce myself to it because I haven't used it for a while, to be fair. So probably I'll need to do a video on that. Right, number 1. Let's do the ones and I'll catch up with you guys. Rufy, you've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. My test is on Friday. I wish you luck with that. My test is tomorrow. What help do you need? I wish you luck with your test on tomorrow as well. I'm loving that. Well done, Sam. for wishing everyone luck. Quite a few of you type in yeah, zebra crossing. On the real test, I can say zebra crossing or pedestrian crossings. So be careful with that as well. So it is a. Where would you see this sign? I don't know if I did that before. Good morning to London. Carla, failed your driving actual test, a driving test. The same way you applied for the first one. Go to the DVSA website and book another one. What did you fail on? It's no different. Go to the DVSA website and book another one. Same way you booked the first one. But at least now with the driving test, you know how it works. You've been there, done that. So when you get a second one, hopefully you're a lot calmer. You're still going to be nervous, but at least you're going to be calmer because you know what's coming in terms of how the test works. But I wish you luck on this next one. I have my test on Tuesday. Chris, sorry, I have my test on Tuesday. I feel like I'm ready. Any tips for me? Yeah. Read the questions carefully. Read the answers carefully. Any questions you don't know, flag it, move on. And then go back to the flag ones at the end where you got more time so you can chill and answer it. And if you still don't know what the answer is, work backwards. Go looking for the wrong answer and get rid of it. Then you got 1 in 3 chance. So rather than looking 1 in 4, needle in a haystack, get rid of 1. Then you're left with 1 in 3. Because there's always one stupid answer on there anyway. So just get rid of that. And then just keep working backwards. But look for clues. Sometimes there's clues in the question, which I'll show you if one question pops up and there's clues in the answers. But the most important is take your time. If you feel stressed at any point when you're doing the questions, just take a step back. And when I say take a step back, just sit back in your seat and just chill. You've got 57 minutes. That's more than enough. And just chill, try to relax, take deep breaths. Because if you try to answer the question while you're panicking and losing it, the brain will just pick an answer to get away from that situation. So just try to put the brain back into a calm state and then it can think clearly. That's my advice for you. But just take your time. Especially if you feel like you're ready. So I'm just trying to find the 2s. There we go. To C. A is a common answer, so I've got to assume that A is correct. This is why I say put question number. Some of you, I've gone through lots of 2s and now 1s are popping up. And that's the reason why. Good morning. How are you? That's why I say most of you are putting the question number, to be fair. But I'm seeing 1s. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. There's a 1 there. Someone's gone for a C. Guys have gone for C's. All right. A is common on a school bus is correct. What's 2C? A, B. Playground entrance. Am I reading that right? Why are you guys going for C? It's a car. Why would you drive your car at a playground entrance? It's not related. Those of you going for C, you need to think twice because I don't understand why you drive your car at a playground entrance. A school bus you need to know about because obviously if you're near a school bus, children are nearby, hence why you got to drive safely. But playground entrance, you wouldn't drive your car through a playground entrance. But this is why I'm saying, you guys, if you pick C for whatever reason, you need to work out why you picked it, and then you realize why your question's answer's wrong. What's a rumble device designed to do? passed second attempt. Congratulations on passing. 44 again. 44s was a common theme. 44s this week. 59. A pass is a pass. Take it. Don't get me wrong, but again, it's like I said, it's a teacher in me. I would just turn around if you're my student. Congratulations on passing first and foremost. Go and look at your paperwork. Make sure there's no road signs or rules of the road questions you got wrong in that category, and brush up on that. Because like I said, you're going to need that for your driving lessons. My test is on Friday. I wish you luck. Oh, my people's test on Friday. Friday the 10th. Yeah, Friday's the 10th. It's the same day as my students. Again, I wish you luck with that. Come back next Sunday. Let us know how you got on. Hello, Mr. D. I passed my theory test because of you last April. Last April. I'm assuming April just gone. When you say last April, it sounds like last year. Thank you very much. But sad to say I failed my driving test last Monday. Okay. April, May, June, July, August, September, 5 months. That's about average for waiting time. When can I reply to book? You can book one straight away. You can book a driving test straight away. You just can't take one within 10 working days. Not that you're going to find one within 10 working days, but once you've failed a driving test, you can literally book one straight away. So just start to jump on the DVSA website looking for dates, and go again. Again, like I said, it's similar to the theory test. When I say if you failed it, you got data, the paperwork, you got data, because what the examiner would have done was emailed your driving test report sheet to you. They should have explained to you in the car anyway, as long as you said yes, you want to debrief. So you already know they email it to you, so you got a hard copy, and then you and your instructor just work through the S's or D's if you've got a D on the driving test. But it's natural to fail the first time because they're nervous and everything else. So hopefully you get it the second time round. Yeah, book one straight away if you can find one. Good morning. I'm preparing my theory test on the 15th, which is the week after next. I've got a driving test on the 15th. That's why I know when it is. Yeah, again, I wish you luck with that. Again, come back next week with any questions that you may have. Stella, good morning. Chic 2025. My theory is tomorrow. Wish me well, please. I wish you luck with that. Again, please come back on Sunday and let us know how you got on. Freebie. You guys, this week we're good students. Everybody's put in the letter and the number. Last week there's so many of you not putting the number. Pass is a pass, but like I said, because like I said, you need it for your driving lessons. And the amount of students that the Daniels, good morning to you. Hello D, guess who passed his theory test? I don't know who passed their theory test. I'm joking. I know it's good for you. Well done. Congratulations. You've been there quite a while. Coming every week supporting the channel. So I appreciate that you've now passed your theory tests. Congratulations. No problem. You're welcome. I wanted to move my date forward yesterday, but discovered I need a list. You mean push back? You can't move it forwards. You mean push it back? I'm assuming that's what you mean, because you said, I want to move my date forwards, so that you're bringing it forwards, but I discovered I need at least 3 working days. So I have to take it tomorrow, which suggests that you don't want to take it tomorrow. So that means you want to push it back. Hopefully that's what you're saying. That's how my brain is reading that. Yes, you have to give, for anyone taking the theory test, if you book it and you don't feel that you're ready for it, you have to give 3 working days notice. Otherwise you lose your fee. So keep track of that when you book your theory test. I don't know why you wanted to push it back. Obviously there's a reason for that. But you have to take it tomorrow. Just take it. You never know. You may surprise yourself and pass it anyway, and then it's done and dusted. But if you fail it, you got data. So it's a win-win situation. Not that you feel that way if you fail it, but it's a win-win. You go, take it, you pass it, happy days. You go, you fail it. You now know what it's like to take one. You know what you need to work on, and then you can tailor your training towards whatever you got wrong, as long as it's not too many. But like I said, if you're in the 30s, me personally, if you was my student, I'll get you to go back to square one and start to study the categories again and fully understand them. I will be sitting my favorite test the second time. The first time I made the mistake of just doing mock tests and no category. So thankfully I'm feeling more prepared this time. There you go. Learn from mistakes. Like I said, this is what it's about. You make mistakes, learn from them. Not on 2, on 3s. 47 out of 50. At least you didn't get 44. And 54 out of 75. Well done to you. You are welcome. Sorry, okay. Something's gone wrong here where it just jumped and skipped. All right, we're on 3. I missed all these 3s as we dropped. No, we didn't. I did do them. Right. So I'm just having one of those mornings where I'm going blank. Is there any change in 2026? There will be changes in 2026. I would say in the first quarter, in the first 3 months. The DVSA has notified me there's changes, but they haven't told me what the changes are. Ain't gonna be massive changes, but it's probably going with the DVSA. They always make things slightly more tricky or slightly harder. That's all it is. So 3A. Rumble strips. Yeah, rumble strips, just in case you don't know, they're these yellow lines painted on the floor slightly. They're like bumps. So as your car goes over, it rumbles, hence the name rumble strip. So it alerts you about your speed. If it's a violent rumble, you're too fast. If it's a smooth rumble, then your speed's correct on approach to a hazard. Who should obey diamond-shaped traffic signs? Lenry, hopefully I'm saying that right. Good morning, Mr. Again, welcome. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you first and foremost. My manners. Pass on the first attempt on Friday. Congratulations, 45. So you got one more than the 44 and 60 at 75. Well done to you. Congrats. Again, I appreciate you turning up, breaking a silence because I've not seen your name before, and letting us know how you got on. Maything, I hope I'm saying that correct as well. 47. Well done to you. Options and 65. That's perception. Like I said, when you guys get the 60s, I just think that's amazing. To go into the ferry test when you're nervous, worrying about if you're going to click too early, click too many times. I know it's on your brain, regardless of how much practice you've done at home. I know it. You go in there and you think, I may click too many times, will I see the hazard, blah, blah, blah. To get 60 plus on the hazard perception on the real test, I just think it's amazing. That's why when I'm reading it and I think wow, I've got to congratulate you guys on that. I will do my best. Thank you. Birmingham's a city. That's one of the reasons why. I'm not sure how many test centers Birmingham's got, but yeah, Birmingham's a city, so you're going to find it difficult like London. There's no magic wand to that. It's just literally keep jumping online morning, noon and night. Monday mornings at 6 a.m. The DVSA released new dates. So what you need to do is get up early tomorrow, probably the next 4 Mondays or so. And hopefully you can nab one of those new dates that come through. The other thing I will add, what you can do, which I've been telling my students, search different test centers and just, or different areas altogether, and just book a driving test, and then use one of the test cancellation apps, the test moving apps, to move it to Birmingham. And that's another way of doing it. So I don't know, Birmingham, Coventry would be nearby, Nottingham maybe, and just book it, get it, and then sign up for one of the test moving apps. Put your details that you want, the details that you've got, and they would try to swap it for you while you sleep. Basically, that's another way around it. But you need a test date first, and that was your first attempt. Congratulations, done and dusted. Now just get on with your driving. Yeah, just told you. But like I said, there's no magic wand. I'm no different with my students trying to get test dates booked for them, and it's not easy. And considering I just used the one test center as well, we would just use Tottenham. So it's a lot harder just to find that one. If you know how much people want me to be the instructor, Birmingham is nowhere near where I live. I work in North London. I live in Luton, but I actually cover North London. And I do intensive courses as well. I don't do hourly lessons. And I'm actually booked up until New Year. Funny enough, someone booked a driving intensive course. I'll tell you how far I had them booked for February the 2nd, which kind of annoyed me in a way because my birthday's on February the 2nd. I didn't want to work on that day. So I still may cancel it. D is tram drivers, which is 100% correct. What can you do to reduce environmental damage caused by your vehicle? Yeah, again, in saying that, because Daniel's asking me to be their driving instructor, and like I said, someone's booked a driving course for next year, February 2nd. I'm assuming it's a birthday present. When they book that far ahead, it's someone, probably a mum or dad, who's booked a driving course for their son or daughter who's turned 17. That's when they book that far ahead. That's what it normally means. Wow, you guys are coming through already, 5A. What I would do is try to lock in a driving instructor as soon as possible, because the driving instructors are rare to find now, or hard to find. I won't say rare, but hard to find. So I would look at locking a driving instructor as soon as possible. Even if you want to book them in advance, like a month away from now, you're not ready to start now, but if you can get them locked in now, and then you've got a driving instructor, rather than wait till you're ready and then you're spending 2 weeks, 3 weeks phoning around trying to find one. You guys are going for 5A. Avoid making a lot of short journeys. That's worded really weird. Okay, on the real test, it normally says walk or cycle. But it says avoid, same thing to be fair, avoid making lots of short journeys. But that suggests you can make short journeys, but just not a lot of them. That's the correct answer, but yeah, it's normally walk or cycle. This is what I'm saying about understanding it. When I read that, the common answer I see is walk or cycle, but because it's worded differently, but I still understand what they're looking for. And obviously you guys do, because you got the right answer. You're on the motorway. What does it mean if a red cross is shown above the hard shoulder and a mandatory speed limit above all other lanes? Always look at the image and then go looking for your options. Remember, if you guys got any questions, type in the chat. Sorry, Q semicolon. You guys ain't asking any questions. That's what this is about. If you got a personal issue, ask it. Let me help you out, rather than giving a generic answer. I live in North London. I'm assuming that's the comment made about driving instructors. So if you can hear a door squeaking, a small dog keeps walking in and out. You guys are going for 6B. 6B, hard shoulders for emergency breakdown. Use only the hard shoulder. That's totally correct. What does this sign mean? I do intensive driving courses in North London, Palmer's Green, mainly around the Tottenham area. But like I said, I'm fully booked up until Christmas. I don't do hourly lessons. Right, sorry. Right, you guys are going for B. What's B? Contraflow bus lane. Just in case you guys didn't know, contraflow means for driving. Going against the flow of traffic. The other question is, where would you find it? On the real test, they can ask you where would you find it. The answer is a one-way street. Let me do this. You're going up, just in case you didn't work out what the sign means totally. You're going up the one-way street and the bus is going against the flow, hence contraflow bus lane. Where would you find it? One-way street, one-way road. When may you enter a box junction? Gone for 7C. I can't go back to see what 7C was. The B's are coming right here. It comes to 8C. Right, you guys are going for C. When your exit road is clear, that sounds decent. Which lights should you use when you're driving in a tunnel? Right, got some comments here. Becky, could you please dwell a little bit longer on the check answers? It helps when going through the videos later. If you're going through the video later, pause it. Because all I'm doing is going through the answers that you guys put in the chat, confirm it on here, and then moving on. I can't sit there lingering on the answers unless I'm explaining it in more detail. Pause it. If you're watching the videos later, pause it. That's why I leave the videos up so you can actually pause it, rewind it back, listen to hints, tips, and tricks if I give any on that particular question. But I appreciate the feedback though. I usually complete my mocks in around 15 minutes, so in the real test, will I have to wait, or the part will start? If you do mock test in 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Hopefully you're passing the mock test in 15 minutes. I still think that's too quick. No, once you finish your 50 questions and you're happy, you just click end. And then it takes you out of that. You watch a 3-minute video on hazard perception, and then you can start your hazard perception video. So you don't have to wait any length of time. So once you're finished and you're happy, just click end, move on. But a 15-minute mock test is quick for my personal experience. But again, if you're doing lots of mock tests, you probably know what all the questions and answers are. That's the reason why you did it in 15 minutes. Agatha, I've seen your question. Let me go through the 9s and then I'll come back to your question. I've just seen it. No problem. You guys have gone for 9B. With this, it says, which light should you use when you're driving in a tunnel? If it's a bog standard light question like this one, the answer is always going to be dipped headlights. So there's a little tip for you. I repeat, bog standard light question, which this is, which lights should you use when driving in a tunnel? It's always going to be dipped headlights as the answer. If they want any other lights, the answer is normally in the question. You just have to break it down. What does it mean if this light comes on while you're driving? I did my theory tests first and scored first. I mean, means first attempt, I'm assuming. 41 out of 50, 60, 64. Hazard perception. So the hazard perception is done and dusted. That's fine. 41, that's 9 questions wrong. So that's got to be at least 5 to 6 categories. That's what I would do. Go back, look at the 5 to 6 categories you got the questions wrong in, restudy those categories, and then go again. Is what I would do with that. And I wish you luck on the second time round. So I'm going to ask the question. I know some basic road markings like double and single yellow markings. I know some basic road markings like double. Answer is yes. And you need it for your driving lesson. What you're missing out of that, you said you got double, single yellows and red. Sorry, double and single yellow, red markings sorted. That's parking restrictions. You got hatch markings. The questions for that is, what is it for? And can you go in there? And hazard ones. That's the common one. So that's sorted. And I'm wondering if we need, yeah, you got you're missing 2 lines. You've got double solid lines in the middle of the road. Again, that's parking restrictions. And you've got a single double with broken lines in the middle of the road. And that's, no, I'm just telling you wrong information. Sorry. Double white lines in the middle of the road is no overtaking unless you're doing 10 miles an hour or passing a vehicle doing 10 miles an hour or less. And then you've got a solid, can't get my words out, a solid white line with broken lines next to it, and that's your parking restriction. So those are the 2 that you're missing from what you're saying. I repeat, double white lines in the middle of the road is overtaking a vehicle doing 10 miles an hour or less, and you've got a single solid line with broken lines next to it, which is a parking restriction. So those are the 2 that you are missing from what you just put on there. So you do need to know those 2. It's very hard for me to, number 10. So I'm just trying to find the sense. It's very hard for me to explain that without visuals, and I haven't got the visuals here. We covered that in the boot camp, funny enough, as well. But it's not just, remember, you need to know this. There's a B there. you need to know this stuff for your driving lessons. As much as you're saying, do I need to know it for my theory test? Answer is always going to be yes for that anyway. But you need it for your driving lesson, because depending on what part of the country that you live in, whether you come across those double lines that I just spoke about. In the where I work, we don't have. They're saying that in Barnet he would have it, but we don't. We're in North London, Tottenham, where I work. I don't have the double lines in the middle of the road. And I don't have the double with the broken line next to it here. So my student wouldn't have to know that for the driving. But if we went to Barnet and drove down there, which I do take my students down there sometimes, they would come across that. So you need it for your driving lessons. As I keep saying to you guys, it's not just about passing the. You guys see it as Desrina. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I've not seen you there before, so welcome to you. Morning. So I'm trying to multitask here. I keep saying you need your theory test for your driving. You guys see passing the theory test allows you to take your driving test. It's true, but you got to see it as your theory test allows you to pass your driving test. Because if your knowledge is weak on your theory test, it's going to be weak for your driving test. And you don't want to be parked up at the side of the road on your driving lessons talking about the theory side of it. When you've passed that, that's time being wasted when you could be driving around. You are welcome. Right, so you guys are going for tonight. That's a handbrake light. For those of you taking driving lessons, you should know that's a handbrake light. So you're looking for something with a brake fault in. This is what I'm saying about looking for clues in the images. For those of you that are not taking driving lessons, that's your handbrake light. So you're looking for something with a brake fault in it. And you guys went for a fault in the braking system, handbrake braking system. As I say, sometimes there's clues in the questions and images. What should you be prepared to do in this situation? After giving so many mock tests, now I just feel like playing the fastest finger first. Yeah, it can become like that. Treat it like a game. What I would do with that situation, if you've taken so many mock tests, is again contradicting myself. Like I said, it's different ways of doing stuff. If you're doing that and you're passing on a regular basis, do it fast. Do a mock test fast, and then train yourself to read the question quickly, read the answer quickly, and see what scores you get. Because what you'll find is your scores would normally drop, and that makes you disciplined to read the questions carefully, So when you go for the real test, you don't get complacent and think, oh, I know the answer when you see a similar question that you've done on mock tests before. And that's the reason why I say that, because sometimes what you guys do, you go into the test and you see a question, you think, oh, I know what the answer is because I've done a mock test last night and that came up. And then you go looking for the answer and then you pick it. And then when you come out your theory test, you failed it and you're wondering why. The reason why, sometimes with the answers on the real test, it looks, the first part of it, the 2/3 of it, looks similar to what you would have chose on previous mock tests. But the last 3 words, they change it from what you did on the mock test. And those last 3 words makes it unsafe answer. It makes it unsafe answer. And that's why some of you fail. And that's the reason why I keep stressing, read the questions carefully as in start to finish, and read all the answers from start to finish. So as you're saying, you obviously more than comfortable with your mock test, not a problem. Treat it like a game now. Read the question quickly, read the answers quickly. You'll find that your scores will drop, and that keeps you focused so you don't get complacent. So when you go for the real test, you do take your time. Because you can't switch it on and off. You can't be fast at home and then go into the real test and be slow. It doesn't work. The brain doesn't work that way. What are we at number 11? And all of you seem to be going for B. Oh, just spot too soon. Someone's gone for a C there. A lorry coming out. This is going to be slowed down. When you see a lorry like that, slow down. It's going to be slowed down and give way is the safest option. Someone went for a C. What's C? Squeeze through the gap. How's that safe? The theory test about safety. Why would you squeeze through a gap? And if you get it wrong, you're going to lose. That lorry's going to wipe you out. How can you plan your route before starting a long journey? I have severe dyslexia and I need your help with, when you guys put just, I need your help with what, is what you got asked. I've got dyslexia. I can't even say my words. I can't even speak English. That's one of my problems. I've got dyslexia, but it's not severe. And obviously I'm a lot older than you, so I know how to cope with it. If you've got dyslexia, what you need to do, if it's severe, you can take your theory test and get extended time. But you got to jump through hoops. You have to get talk to the DVSA. They'll tell you what you need to do. You have to go through your doctor and get some paperwork to give to the DVSA. You can get extended time, or you can get a reader to with you. But like I said, you're jumping through hoops. That's one way, and the other way is have it read to you through headphones. So when you got the app, what you can do is go to the settings and turn it on so it reads the question to you and read the answers to you. When you go for the real test, there's headphones there, which you can have the questions read. When I teach students with dyslexia, that's what I recommend. They do find it helpful having the questions read to you. But for me, I'm visual, so I need to be able to read the question myself rather than having it from my headphones. But there's ways of coping with it. But like I said, you know how severe that is. But if it's really, really bad, get extra time extended, but you have to go through your doctor with that. Jada Jones, I've not seen you before, so welcome to you. Congratulations on passing the theory test. Oh, I'm putting it up there. Sorry, here you go. Congratulations on passing 3 weeks ago. Hopefully you're taking driving lessons now. 3 weeks ago. I passed second attempt. You are welcome. 12. If you do have a learning disability, depending on the level of it, you can, my advice is phone the DVSA up, explain your situation, and they can tell you how to get extended help. Extended time. But like I said, you do have to jump through a lot of hoops and proving all your medical conditions and all the rest of it. But if it means passing your theory test so you can pass your driving tests, it may be worth it. Again, if you've got any disabilities of any kind, don't struggle on your own. There's help out there for you, but you have to talk to somebody. And the best people to talk to is the DVSA. They're not the fastest people to operate, but they're the best people to talk to because it's their test. But don't struggle on your own. That's one of the worst things you can do. Talk to someone. My theory test is on the 30th of October. How can I speed up my studying? The question is, why would you speed up your studying? If the test on the 30th, you've got plenty of time to study. The question is why. I'm not going to ask that question because I'm not a big believer in speeding stuff up, even though I do a 5-day boot camp, but that's a different story. The question is why. You've got 3 weeks, 7, 14, 21, 26. You've got 3 weeks. All you're going to do is speed up to fail. Route planner. Google Maps, in other words. This is interesting. What color are the reflectors does between a motorway and a slip road? Oh, that's the easy version. I've got to come back to this one. It's really my theory test on the 30th October. How can I speed up my studying? Because why would you speed it up? In saying that, yeah, it depends why you want to speed it up. Just take your time, study properly, pass first time. You guys are going for D, which is green. Once it's got slit rod and the answer is green, there's nothing to think about. The other colours take a bit more time to work out, but yeah, once it's got slit rod and answer, so in the question, then it's straight for green. What can result when you're traveling for long distances in neutral, known as coasting? That's a question for you guys doing manual lessons. You can't coast in an automatic, but you can coast in a manual. Do I have extra time? No, you don't have extra time. It's 57 minutes as standard. If you need extra time, you have to go through the DVSA and they will tell you what you need to do to get to apply for the extra time. But like I said, you have to go through your doctors and get bits and pieces about your medical condition with that. I'm not sure this lecture covers that. But if you've got dyslexia, ADHD, and maybe other bits and pieces or learning difficulties, you can get extended time, but you have to apply for it through the DVSA. You can't just turn up and expect to get extra time. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you are struggling, talk to the DVSA, email them or phone them up and then find out what your options are. But if you can do the test, having it read through, having it read to you. See, my dyslexia kicking. When I'm tired, it makes my speech struggle. Anyway, if you can understand it through headphones, then they supply the headphones for it to be read to you. If you still struggle when it's read to you, you may need extended time. Talk to the DVSA and go through their channels to get extended time with that. But like I said, it's going to take slightly longer because they're not the fastest company to do things. 14. What I would suggest you do is try it on the app. Have the app read to you. Left to right on the motorway, green, red, white, amber. That's the easiest way to remember it. When you're just laying it out like that, when asked the question, it's different because the brain doesn't work that way. You guys are going for, what was it? A. Reduction in control or lack of engine braking. They can word it either way on the real tests. Reduction in control, or lack of engine braking. How should you drive when you're driving along a road that has humps, has road humps? The hazard perceptions is different. There's CGIs. When you go for the real test, they're all CGIs on the real test, but they're not going to give you the same videos as the app. Like I said, the apps and the videos are sampled. They're not real. The reason being because you're going to memorize the questions. You're going to memorize the answers. When they used to do it back in the day, they used to give the books with all the questions and answer at the back. And then what people did was memorize the answer. And then when they turned up for their driving test, it was totally dangerous. That's the reason why they removed the books and CDs from back in the day. That's why they're all sample questions. So you are learning it rather than memorizing it. And if they gave you the same videos, you'll memorize where the hazards are. So obviously when you go there, be a pass. So when you go for your driving test, you won't know what a hazard is. So the answer to your question, no, they are different. But a hazard is a hazard. Once you understand what a hazard is, something that causes you to slow down and change direction, it's the same for any video. You just got to spot the hazard. That's all it is. And the reason why it's asking D Cluck, because D Cluck has joined the live for the first time, for welcome. Joined last week for the first time and passed their theory test on Monday. So congratulations on passing. And thank you for coming back to your second live and letting us know how you got on. Appreciate it. I'm going to attend HGV theory test. I'm not confident. Let me just read this again. I'm going to attend HGV theory test. I'm not confident. Bez. The theory test, the HGV is no different from the car theory test. It's the same, except you've got HGV questions in there. You're still choosing the safest option. Hopefully using the app for that. If you're using the driving test 4-in-1, you go to the settings and change the questions from car theory test to HGV. But it's the same. And HGV, if you're going for, you're saying the theory test, it's the same. You're looking for the safest option and everything else. But yeah, if you're using the 4-in-1 app, just change those questions over from car to HGV, and then you'll have the options of the answers there. But it's the same. And when you go for your lorry test, you already know how to drive if you're going for HGV. So they normally do that intensive over 4 or 5 days as well. But if you pass the car theory test, then passing the HGV is not going to be much different, because you already got driving knowledge. Um, 15. You're welcome. Oh yeah, the videos are similar. All the videos you watch on the apps, apart from the quality, you got real life and CGI on your apps. Forget the real life video. I'm not saying, when I say forget it, I don't mean don't practice it. Practice it, because practice is practice. But the CGI videos are pretty much the same. They just give you different scenarios. Some in the rain, some in the snow, some dry, some country. The same. But what you're looking for is a hazard. The hazard never changes, because a hazard is something that causes you to slow down or change direction, whether it's a person, lights, bends, signs, people, cars, bikes. It's the same. You're just looking for the one that's going to slow you down. So don't worry about the quality of the videos or whether the video's the same. You just need to work out, because even if the videos was the same, you still have to spot the hazard. If you can't spot the hazard, it doesn't make a difference what type of video you're watching. You're still going to fail. The hardest part of a driving or the theory test is questions, because you don't know what 50 questions you're going to get. If you get lucky, then you may, I don't know why it's doing that. If you get lucky, you may get 50 questions or a good amount of them, enough for you to pass, because you know what the answers are. On another day, you can get lots of questions that you've never seen before, but you have to work it out. So it's a little bit luck on the day, but you make your own luck by understanding what they're asking. So Dashi, thanks for the videos. I'm not seeing your name before, so welcome to you for the live, first of all. 48 out of 50, missed it by 2, Mr. 50 by 66 out of 75. Well done to you, congratulations. And again, Vamas, you are welcome. Sorry, I think you guys went for B. Yeah, speed humps, maintain the speed. Maintain a reduced speed, slow down, in other words, for the speed humps. Where should you park your vehicle at night? Patricia, please can you explain the slip road sign, please? There's nothing to explain. The slip road is coming off a motorway. There's nothing to explain about slip road sign. There isn't a slip road sign. There's a motorway sign that shows you're coming off on the slip road, but the question for that is the black box white writing. That's a junction number or exit number. There's not much to explain on that, and I can't do it without a visual, and I'm not set up for visuals. That slip road sign, there's not much to explain. It's just the road you come off. On the motorway, it'd be a little arrow to the right. But like I said, that question is a junction number or exit number. Black box, white writing. Doshima, hopefully I'm saying that correct. I don't know. I'm glad you like the teaching. 17th for the 10th. That's 2 weeks, roughly. If you've got any questions, I'm here next Sunday. If you've got any questions, jot them down, bring it next week, type it in the chat. Let's send you in there more confident to pass your test. But come back. If you don't come back next week, come back and at least let us know how you get on after the 17th. It'd be nice to know that you've done it. And you guys gone for 16A. Yeah, in a well-lit area. That way if the thief breaks the window, it can be spotted from a distance. When may you use hazard warning lights while you're driving? Remember, if you guys got any questions, ask away. Q semicolon, but ask away while we're still live. Well, hopefully you get it next time. And you guys gone for A. Like I said, for those of you who've got tests coming up soon, let's quickly do this. Sometimes there's clues in the question, and then there's clues in the hazard. There's a link. You've got hazard in the answer. It doesn't always work, so you have to be careful with this. But you've got hazard in the question, and then you've got hazard in the answer that shows there's a link between the two. Hence why it's A. So like I said, when you guys are in the real test and you're feeling stressed, just take a time out, just chill, sit back so the brain can think clearly, breathe, so the brain gets oxygen, and then just try to break it down. If it means reading it 2 or 3 times, then break it down and go that way. What does this sign mean? I think that's the first ones we had. And this had the theory test work, just revamp the question. That's all I did on this one, just revamped it. Again, this is why I say understand it, because if it's reworded differently, you still know what the answer is. You don't get thrown off by it. You gone for C? Yeah, it's the same answers before. Zebra crossing ahead. As I mentioned, it can be collectively as a pedestrian crossing on the rule test. What should you do if a driver pulls out of a side road in front of you, causing you to brake hard? I can see the ones with the fast internet connection. You guys just come straight through really quickly. Hi, D. Samuel, welcome. Hi, do you have my test? You mean test? Text. All of them. I can't tell you to study more than one category or one more than the other. I don't know how your test is going to be. Make this random. Study all of them. You need all of them for your driving lesson. So you're not wasting time. Study all of them. And with that one, you want to, once you study all of them, then learn the ones, restudy the ones that you struggle with, because there's always at least one or two categories at the 14 that someone struggles with. So, for example, a couple of emails I got this week was road signs. If you really struggle with road signs, restudy those ones and study more on that. But in terms of basics, learn all of them, and then the one that you struggle on the most, go back and do those. You guys are going for C, I think it was all C's. Yeah, don't get road rage. Don't let someone spoil your day. You're waiting in a traffic queue at night. How can you avoid dazzling drivers behind you? Vamos, I did all the questions at once in the app yesterday. 786 questions. Is that what it is now? 786. 774 was before. There's now there's new first aid questions in there, aren't there? So 786 questions now. Okay. And I've got 781 correct. Well, that's a high score. You can't question is why I didn't get 786 right. That's what I'd be asking. You got 5 wrong. How come you got 5 wrong? I'm joking, by the way. 781 is correct. 781 is really good. I got to be asking myself why you'd be doing that, to do 786 questions. I would never do that. Everyone's different. I would also add, with studying, again, this is general for most of you, you need to study with intent. Some of you just go on and study for an hour here, 45 minutes there. You need to study, go on when you're studying, work out what you're trying to study and what you want to achieve out of it. So if you struggle on road signs, go and do road signs. And then obviously what your aim is, try to improve on that. If you're passing mock test, for example, let's just say you're getting 45s on the mock test, then obviously when you do mock test, you're trying to get 46, trying to improve. You want to have a structured learning method rather than just studying aimlessly, because an hour studying doesn't mean to say you studied. You just studied for an hour. It doesn't mean to say you learned anything from it. 15 minutes laser structured learning is better than an hour unstructured learning. So you've got to tailor, or laser focus is what I call it, on your studying, know what you're studying. 786 questions in one go isn't lazy. Don't get me wrong, everyone's different. It worked for you because you got 781 right. But the question is, where do you go from there? You've done all of the questions. The question is, where do you go from there now on the apps? Because you covered all of them. 5 wrong out of 700. Doing mock tests ain't going to help you now. So what do you do next? But in saying that, Vamos, have you got a test booked? If you've got a test book, just type in the chat yes and what month. Don't have to turn around and give me the date if you don't want to give me the date. Just if you've got a test book, just yes, what month. And if no, no. Because if it's no, the question is, where do you go from there? We are on 20. I think you guys are going for A. Use parking brake and release the foot brake. If you didn't know, your brake, when you squeeze the foot brake, the brake lights coming at the back, which are red. It does say night. I'm sure it says night. Yeah, nighttime. The red light's bright enough to dazzle. Dazzled, if you didn't know, is blinding the driver. So if they use the word anti-dazzle, that's to do with your mirror. If they use dazzled, it's blinding the driver. So that's why it's this one. This is for most of you who don't take driving lessons. Right, so that's a lot of categories. Like I said, for those of you that was at the beginning, your theory test 50 questions is made up of 14 different categories, and it's random, so they can give you. We'll show you here now. 11 categories for a 20 question mock test. That's a lot. But you will get 14 categories on your 50 questions because they have to take questions from each category to make sure your general knowledge is solid. Treat it like beating the chaser, if you think about that, where their knowledge covers everything, and that's how your theory test needs to be. It needs to cover all the categories. Right, anyway, but road signs on this one's 4. Vulnerable road users 1, vehicle handling 1, attitude 2, safety in your vehicle 4, motorway rules 2, rules of the road 2, incidents, accidents and emergencies 1, other type of vehicles 1, safety margins 1, hazard awareness 1. So imagine if my road and traffic signs was weak and my safety margins was weak. That's a possible 8 questions I could get wrong. If I got 8 questions, those 8 questions wrong, I've now failed my theory test. And this is why I say your knowledge has to be strong, because you don't know how your 50 questions are going to be structured. It could be 8 road signs. And if your road signs are weak, you're 8 questions wrong. You already failed just on that one topic alone, regardless of whether you're strong on all of these. And the person who asked me about which categories to study more of, or whatever the question was, this is the reason why you study all of the categories equally. And then if you have a weakness after you study all the categories, you go and strengthen it by restudying it. So hopefully that makes sense. There's a couple of comments I just want to clarify before we move on. Vamos did that. I'm watching the YouTube videos, however, struggle with documents. I forget easily. Restudy. The documents, believe it or not, is the shortest section on the theory test. There's only 27 questions on the documents side of it. I've got a mock test video on that, all 27 questions, breaks it down. But in saying that, you said you've watched all your YouTube videos. Yeah, it's the shortest category. Just restudy those. Find the formula. And on the documents, they normally ask about MOT, road fund license, and insurance. That's only 3 things they really talk about in terms of documents. Oh, V5C document as well. It's not that difficult. You're probably thinking it, probably stressing over it more than anything else. But the document section is not that difficult. Just don't stress over it. I've been practicing with different sections for a while. Just did that as a test. Nothing serious. I've been practicing. Your knowledge is strong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking you. You're 786 questions. You got 5 wrong. Nothing wrong with that. But the question is now, where do you go from there in terms of studying? So that's what I asked you. Have you got a test book? So if you've got a test book, you're laughing. But if you haven't, what do you do next? I passed my test a couple of weeks ago, 46 out of 50. For 59, 70 years, online classes, videos. So thank you. You're welcome. And thank you for coming to the live. I've not seen your name before, so again, welcome to you. And thank you for letting us know how you got on. Greetings to you. Juliana, 10 o'clock on a Sunday. 10 o'clock Sundays. I'll say on a Sunday like I'll do different days. 10 o'clock on the Sunday. Done it again. 10 o'clock Sundays. What is the best app to practice from? I'm going to say Driving Test Success. And the only reason I'm saying it because it's what I use and that's what I get my students to use. Someone mentioned they used a DVSA one to study. They said it was good. They passed with it. To be fair, you can use any app that you want as long as you're going for the paid version. I recommend the 4-in-1 because I can only recommend what I use and my students use, and they give me good feedback. I don't get good feedback from the DVSA. I'm not saying it's a bad app. I just don't get feedback from it. My pupil on the driving course this week was using the DVSA one, and when he was showing me his phone and he was going through some of the questions, I didn't find the interface very friendly at all. But that's because probably I haven't used it in years. Like I said earlier on in the live, I probably will revisit it and take a look. It may now be better than the one I can't see me abandoning Driving Test Success, to be fair, but yeah, use anyone. But if you want my recommendation, Driving Test Success all day long. Could I pass my hazard perception test without practice because I don't have an app? I'll watch your videos on it though. Yes, you could pass it, but the question is why you don't have an app. $4.99. Your ferry test is 23 quid. You buy the app, you have a better chance of passing. 23 quid, first attempt, pass, no problem. So you don't have an app, $4.99. Take your ferry test, fail it, that's 23 quid. Not down the drain because you got data. Then you have to pay for another one. That's £46 as opposed to $4.99. So the question you got to ask yourself is why you haven't got an app. Just because you watch the video doesn't mean to say you know what you're doing, but you have to practice it so you don't get what I call trigger finger. But like I said, only you can answer that. There are free apps. Yes, there are free apps. I don't know if they still do it. The 4-in-1 has got a free version, but the question is, just like I just said to the last person, Renee, why do you want to go for free? It's free for a reason. So why would you want to go for a free app? Like I said, you guys know you better than I know you. I can only give you my advice, my experience of teaching students. The ones who go for a free app before they come to the course struggle because it's stripped down. The ones who don't have an app struggle because they haven't got an app to guide them. The app gives you some type of guide. Don't give you a proper guidance, but it gives you some guidance. When you're doing it on your own, like I said, just studying aimlessly, going here, there, and everywhere, the learning is not structured. Now you've got a problem. You need structure. It's like trying to get up to go from A to B. You need an idea of how you're going to get from A to B. Otherwise, it costs you a fortune taking Uber here, there, everywhere, or whatever transport you take. You need a structured way to get to the goal of passing your theory test. An app gives you some structure. But like I said, you guys got to ask yourself why you don't want to pay for apps. I got it. Thank you, my brother. Gave me your YouTube account, and I'm loving it here. I got it. Well, thank you, brother. First of all, for sharing it. Appreciate that. The question I would is slightly different in different apps. I noticed that some Same answers, choice. Yeah, they are worded slightly different, but again, it doesn't make a difference what app you use. The reason why I've said it again, let's just say, for example, you download the driving test success app and you download the DVSA app. The questions are worded slightly different. The answers are worded slightly different on both apps. So you do both and you pass mock tests on both of them. You go for the real test. The question is still going to be worded slightly different. And the answer is going to be still worded slightly different on the real test because on the two apps, they're sample questions, but you still fail the real test. The reason why you're failing the real test, I can't get my words out today, is because you didn't understand the questions. You memorized them, but you're not memorizing them deliberately because you're doing mock test after mock test, category after category. The brain just recognizes the question. It just starts to recognize the answer. You need to understand it. And this is why I say study in a structured way. Because if you study in a structured way, you're understanding why you got the question wrong in the first place. That's the first thing you want to go to. And then you understand why the answer is what it is. And those two understandings gives you a better understanding overall, which means when you go for the real test, it makes no difference how the question's worded. It makes no difference how the answer's worded because you understand it, which means you are going to pass it. There's a difference. That's why I said you can use any app you want. It still comes down to understanding the question and it still comes down to understanding the answer. If you don't understand it, that's the reason for failing. And that's why when someone goes for a test and they're getting 38, 39s, even though they may have passed the mock test, because of lack of understanding, you memorized it, but you memorized it subconsciously. You didn't go and do it deliberately. It's just because the brain you do things in repetition, you're going to remember it enough times. It doesn't mean that you understand it. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It's always comes down to understanding. Yeah, that's what I use. That's what I use it. And with the DVSA, with the 4-in-1 app, they're starting to put driving stuff on there now. They've got, I haven't visited yet, but they've got a driving hub or something like that. I forgot what it's called. So you can use it for your driving lessons now as well. I have used the free success as a yeah, because it's free. There's a reason why it's free. They're not going to give you something that's got everything in it. But think about it. $4.99, one theory test. Rounding it up, £23 for your theory test and £5 for the app. That's £28 it can cost you to pass your theory test. Plus, you can use a 4-in-1 app as for your driving as well to help you with your driving. So you can still use the app after you pass the theory test. That's £28. No app or free app, £23 for your theory test. So you saved £5, but you fail your theory test. You now got to pay another £23 plus the stress and all the rest of it. That's £46. All the sake of not paying $4.99. Ask yourself what's the better option. And not only that, that's the short-term cost. The long-term cost, even if you did pass without the app, you now got to take driving lessons. Your theory knowledge is weak because you haven't exposed yourself to the questions on the app. You're now going to be sitting at the side of the road with your instructor talking to you about a theory test that you should have passed with full understanding. I had a pupil, I want to say about a month ago. He came to our intensive course. So I had him he was my pupil, taught him to drive. He passed the theory test before he came to us. And because we like to train our pupils theory test wise, so we trained them strong. And I'm sitting at the side of the road explaining to him what a giveaway line was. Literally spent 5-7 minutes because he didn't understand the difference between a giveaway, a stop sign, blah, blah, blah. That's time, not necessarily wasted, but I'd rather be driving rather than explaining what a giveaway line, and that's bog standard. And he passed his theory test as well. It's not like he failed it; he passed it. Anyway, I failed the 3 time. I'm assuming you failed the theory test 3 times. $4-in-1 app or driving test success. So type in driving test success in your store of choice, whether it's Android, it comes up because it's number one. So driving test success, otherwise known as the 4-in-1 app. Please, how do you explain studying in a structured way? Studying in a structured way is what you want to get out of it. It's structured to you personally. There's everybody's different. So I've got some students who like to read books. I'm not a book reader, so me reading books it will never stick with me. I'm visual, so I like to read the question so I can visualize what the answer is. Everybody's different, so you need to know how your learning style is and then structure it to that learning style. So if you're someone who can sit down for an hour and take the information in and learn from that information, by all means study for an hour. If you got short attention span, you want to you want to study for 15 minutes. But what do you want to get out of the 15 minutes? Do you want to get a better score? Do you want to learn road signs? Do you want to learn road markings? Do you want to learn motorway rules? Whatever it is, and work out what you want so your end goal is. So, for example, your end goal when you go to work is to get paid by the end of the month. If you didn't know when you was getting paid, then what's the point in going to work? You just don't know when you're going to get paid. You know, you go to work, you get paid on a set day every month. That's structured. It's the same thing. When you go to work, you have a way to get to work. That's structured. When there's for London, when we had the train strikes and everything else, how do you get to work? That breaks your structure. You need to know how to get there on time. So it's structured to you, personal to you. It's not a set standard. And that's why I talk about the bootcamp because that's what I do a lot. They come into the bootcamp, it's a class scenario in the Zoom, but they have a structured way individually for them. Because as a group, we do that, break it down. It's structured because every day we learn a different topic or separate topics. So for example, tomorrow when I do the bootcamp, we do alcohol, documents. Someone mentioned documents. We cover documents on Monday and we cover motorways. It's structured because all of those are tied in together. And then they have a tailored structured pattern for them individually. So like I say, if someone can study for 15, 20 minutes, boom, structured for that. But what's the end goal? If someone can study for an hour, they find an hour after the boot camp, they do an hour. But what's the end goal? But it's personal to you. This is a good way to look at on the net for alternative explanation or even pictures. Yes, that's a different way of doing it. But paid very success is great as it has a quiz and AI options. Yeah, I've not used AI options, but I've heard it's pretty good. Everyone's going AI now. I got just typed in for Narissa. I use a paid from a theory test. I'm so happy you paid and saved myself a double theory test fee. There you go. Seriously, get an app. When I first tried the question, I got a ton wrong. There you go. The price is $5. No, it's $4. I don't know. It's $4.99 the last time I looked. But either way, if it's $4.99, $5.99, it's worth it. Compared to £23 twice, to me, it's worth it. The boot camp is how much is the boot camp? Boot camp is 97. And what you get for the boot camp is the 5 days training, 2 hours a day, 4:30 to 6:30. All the sessions are recorded, so you've got access to the recording, so you can watch it in your own time. Again, structured. So if you don't get the information or take in information during the 2 hours, go back to the video, replay, watch, stop. You've got access to that. There's other training material. And with the boot camp, it's a one price and you stay in there until you pass your theory test. So if you don't pass your theory test within 3 months, you've got 3 months access to the training. I am going to stop the boot camp soon, to be fair, because what you guys are asking, can you study for longer? And do I do one-to-one sessions? I am going to do a 30-day study camp that's coming soon. So look out for the link for the waiting list where I'm going to work with you personally or one-to-one and set you homework. I can be able to monitor your progress and everything else through an app as well. So that's coming soon. I'm hoping to get it done by the middle of November. But it's only going to be a set amount of people every month because I can only work with X amount a month. I've not set that amount. So that's coming if you guys want the one-to-one training. So that's coming soon. A good way to flag the question is you're not sure with. Later, you can concentrate on those. Look for alternative explanation of the net, ARCs, ChatGPT. Yeah, and that's what I keep saying with you guys. You guys are studying at home. So Googling the answer, using AI to ask you answer the question. So type it in, what's the answer to this question? Or if certain words that you're not sure, type it in. And then can you give me an idea of how it's used in terms of driving? And then ChatGPT will put it into context for you. But you guys don't want to do the extra work. You like the app, gives you the wrong answer. Sorry, the right answer. You look at the right answer. Oh, I remember that for next time, move on. It's understanding. Do what you need to do to understand. Google, AI. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, you're using that knowledge once you pass your driving test. Sorry, once you pass your theory test, you need it for your driving lessons. And on that note, let me just quickly show you before we do the hazard perception. Any effort and work you put in now is what you're going to get out later on. So, share iPad. So this is a driving test report sheet. So, theory test is here, box 17, traffic signs. Road markings, traffic lights, traffic controls, other road users. There's your theory test right there. When someone talked to me about I can't remember who it was, but talking about double yellows, double reds, they know about road markings. Is that all they need to know? There you go, box 17, road markings. You need to know them. When you talk about lanes, bus lanes, can you use bus lanes? Can you use cycle lanes? Box 23, position normal driving. Lane discipline, which lane should you be in? All the rest of it, whether you can use it, can't use it. If you don't know when you can use bus lanes or can't use bus lanes, you're going to get marked down in box 23 on your driving lessons. So it's just frozen. Just realised because box 23 didn't light up. 1 second. So if you don't know whether you can use bus lanes or cycle lanes, box 23 is where it's going to be marked. If you don't know about your pedestrian crossings, your pelicans, your toucans, we had one question but worded differently twice. At zebra crossings, this is where box 24 is pedestrian crossings. That's your theory test right there. The examiner knows you passed the theory test because you can't book a driving test without it. So he's just sitting back. This sheet is blank when you start. And as you go through driving, making those theory test mistakes, he's marking it on the sheet. Now, it depends whether he marks it in the box I've put those marks in, which is minors. You'll have to do minors and still pass, or whether he goes into the S or the D. S is serious, you're not allowed any S's, and D's are dangerous, you're not allowed any D's. So if your theory is weak, it's going to show up on your driving test. And that's the reason why you need to understand it. So you put all the work in now, study hard, so you take all that information in. You're not wasting it. It's going to be there with you for your driving test. You study week now, scrape your theory test. That's why those guys who got 44 are saying what I would do is go and revisit the categories, blah, blah, blah. 44, you've passed it, but there's still a weakness there. I'm just frozen. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I can see my camera just frozen. Type yes in the chat if you guys can still hear me. But my camera's just frozen. So I'm going to keep talking just in case you guys can hear me. So like I said, 44, you passed it, but the knowledge is still weak. But what part of that knowledge is weak, you don't know. Hence why I say study the categories. Don't know if you guys can hear me because no AESs are coming through. If you guys can still hear me, type yes. Dart Summer says yes. Let me get a couple more yeses. You guys can still hear me. Can you guys see? Hold on, I'll turn around. Yeah, it looks like it's still coming through behind. All right, just my camera. I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. 1 second. I just like it's my monitor. Yeah, it looks like it's my monitor. It's weird looking at myself. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Sorry, 1 second. Technical issues. Right, hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, the more work you put in now, the easier it's going to be. Again, if you think about it now, you put the work in, £4.99, £23, study hard, structured, pass your theory test with strong knowledge. You go for your driving test, £63 is a driving test, 62.50, call it £63. One driving test, pass it. Or study week, scrape your theory test, 44 out of 50. So there's still a blank knowledge there. Take a driving test, fail it, £63, another £63, including the lessons to get you up to speed. That starts to rack up. And remember, the waiting time for a driving test on average is 4 to 6 months. So you fail a driving test, you now waiting another 4 to 6 months. That's almost a year. So put the work in now, hopefully pass first time laughing. All right, so let me come out of that and then come to that. Let me just catch up with the comments. I know it's a lot of talking, but like I said, it's really important that you guys start to understand this is the platform foundation to your future. I have a structured book that works. Oops, let's get back up here. Yeah, I'm going to do hazard perception in a sec. In the motorway, large vehicles, what difficult? I'm not understanding if that's a question, you're just stating the fact. And you guys saying you can still hear me, though I'm frozen. I struggle with the signs with flow and contraflow. I look for alternative info, totally understand them now. Brilliant. Can one change a driving instructor along the line? Yes, you're paying for a service. If you're not happy, change them. Because driving instructors can put you off driving. So if you're not happy with your driving instructor, change them. For all of you that type yes in the chat, I appreciate that. I can see and hear you. Again, for large vehicle in the motorway, what should difficult? I'm not understanding the question. Could you word it as a question? My brain can't get around what you're saying. The large vehicle in the motorway, what should difficult? Are you asking what's difficult about overtaking a large vehicle? The bootcamp 1-to-1 is a good idea. Yeah, you guys are asking me because like I said, I run a bootcamp for my students on intensive courses because they have to pass their theory test before they can put their driving test. So after they do the intensive course, they do let me quickly explain this. They do the driving course Monday to Friday. They do 4 hours a day driving. By the time they get to the end of the week, they should be ready for their driving test. But obviously they haven't passed their theory test. So what we do is book their theory test. So these guys have got their theory test on the 10th, which is a Friday, 5 p.m. So Friday comes, they finish the driving course, they pass their theory test. The pass rate is normally 96% as it stands at the moment. So most of them pass. And then they go and book their driving test over the weekend. And then we start looking for a driving test the following week for them. That's how it works. What I've done is, when I say you lot, I call it YouTube lot, comes in that class with them. So the ones who sign up for the bootcamp comes into that class, but it's only Monday to Friday, 4:30 to 6:30. Some of you are working and can't make it. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of emails. Do you do 1-to-1, blah, 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 all the rest of it. No, I don't do 1-to-1 because of what I do for work. So what I've decided and what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, and I've decided I'm going to do it, is a 30-day study camp where you guys come in and I'm going to monitor you individually, set your structured learning, because I've got an app that you guys can sign up to. I'll register you for that. And I can see when you studied, how long you studied for, the questions you got wrong. And I'm going to go in there every single week. I'm going to film it and send you a video message of where you're going wrong. That's the plan. And you still have access to all the other bits and pieces. And you can still come into the bootcamp anytime that you want. And if you can't come in, you just watch the replays. So it's a bit more tailored to the individual. But I can only work with so many pupils every month. So it's only going to be a certain amount of numbers. I haven't worked out what the numbers are because, like I said, my aim is to work with you guys on a one-to-one basis to give you the best possible chance. And hopefully you book your theory test and I'll work with you with that within the 30 days. It's not about the 30 days and we're going to the second 30 days and you haven't booked the theory test. The aim is to pass your theory test within those 30 days. So that's the plan. So look out for the link to register for that when it comes. And that's because you guys are getting lots of emails one-to-one. And I can't do it as that with that. But if I have a certain amount of people within the boot camp, study camp, not boot camp, study camp, it's going to work that way. Is there additional fee to be paid to the instructor on the day of the test for his? Yes, because the car is not, if the car's on test, it can't be used for a lesson. So yes, there's a fee. That's something you want to work out in advance with the instructor. Don't wait to the day and then find out he's charging you an arm and leg. Every shot is different. I'm not going to get into all of that. But every shot is different in terms of how they charge. They charge for the car. Some people charge just a normal hourly rate. So something you want to talk to your instructor up front. This is different from the normal. Again, everybody's different. Like I said, some instructors just charge the hourly rate. Some people charge for the car itself, which if they're charging for the car, it's going to be more than the hourly rate. So talk to your instructor. All right, I've waffled on enough. Let's do the hazard perception. So let me get it. I need it on my phone. Hazard perception as is 14 videos really weird. So I need to do this because it's weird looking at myself being frozen. Oh, give me 1 second. Hopefully that fix the frozen issue. Yeah, that's better. Yes, weird looking at myself being frozen. Right, so hazard perception is 14 videos. 13 of them have single hazards. One of them's got a double. And you are looking, a hazard is anything to cause you to slow down or change direction. That's all you're looking for. What problem is going to cause me to slow down, change direction? And you need to click within the countdown window. Starts at 5, finishes at 1. And you have to get between, to be fair, you need to get between 5 and 3. If you're getting between 2s and 1s, you're going to fail. The average has to be 3 or higher. And that's what you're going to try and do. What you want to do is click twice per problem. Every time you see a problem, click twice. Problem, click 1, 2, click again. Now, what I've been doing is practicing. When I do it in the boot camp, I do real life clips and I do the CGIs. And I get my students the night before to do the same. What's been coming up on a regular basis at this precise moment, for some reason, the app's real life clips aren't tallying with the clicks. So sometimes they're clicking, they've seen a problem and they're getting 1s, 0s. But when I look at it, it's nothing to do with them. The clips aren't tallying, they're just not in sync with each other. But the CGIs, they're getting the 5s and the 4s. Now, if you are getting low scores on a real life clip, do not start to beat yourself up. Oh my God, I'm going to fail all the rest of it. It's just not tallying for some reason. It's not in sync. But CGIs, if you're getting low scores, that's when you want to start to worry and practice and improve. The CGI scores is the ones you want to worry about. The real life clips is not either here or there. So you click, if I get the app up, it would help. See, driving test success. Let me share my phone. Where are you? So I use, you can't see it clearly. Let me come up with that. See, I use a driving test success on my phone, on my desktop. This mock test is on the desktop version, the instructor's version of driving test success. I use it on my phone, my app, my iPad, and for the live and the Zoom sessions. Practice clips. Right, so I'm going to do a real life clip. So I'm going to do a commentary drive as well. So I'm going to talk out loud so you can see what I'm talking about and why I'm clicking. So speed limit signs. I don't want to speed up if someone's about to overtake me and cut me up. Brake lights. If he slows down, I may need to slow down. So when you're driving in real life and when you're watching the videos, you want to be scanning from left to right, right to left. So that blue shop on the corner, if a car was coming out, a bike, I would click, but there's nothing there for me to click on. Don't need to. The side road to my left, petrol station to my right. If anything was coming out of there, I would click on that. If you look in the distance, you've got the black and white poles, suggest zebra crossing, so I click. The woman in the blonde hair, near the zebra crossing, I click on that. I'm going to go for another one. I think I messed up. So that's the one that's caused me to slow down. That's the one I should get marked on, but still keep going just in case it's your double. Again, the side road just after the bus stop. Again, no cars are there, so I don't need to click on that. But if a car was coming out, I would click. Right, so let me show you this. 5 out of 5, no cheating, so you can see it. And then always review it back to see if you could improve it if you didn't get 5 out of 5. So for the sake of the video, let's just speed it up, because all the rest was red herrings. So black and white poles in the distance, I called it. And this is why you go for 2 clicks. Right there, look. Black and white poles. There's my first click. Too early. That's why you go for 2 clicks, just in case the first click was too early. So if I left it like that, that's a 0. And remember, I called it black and white poles in the distance, zebra crossing, blah, 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 click. That's why you go for 2. And the second click landed in the 5. The woman in the blonde hair, 4, 3, but they always give it the highest mark. So there's no benefit in clicking once, lots of benefits in clicking twice per problem. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me just see what you guys are saying first before I do another one. Desktop version costs more. Yes, but obviously I'll pay for it because I got my students on it. And I use it for my lives and my videos, so it's worth the fee. You guys are all right with the app version because you always got your phone with you. But like I said, because I'm a driving instructor, I need it not only for what I do, obviously for work as well with my students. With that, so there's no comments on that. So let me do a real life, because I keep saying real life. Do a CGI because they're crystal clear iPhone screen. Right, so let's just get a CGI up. So I'm going to do this one. Let's get a comment out of the way so you guys can see. So there's smoke to my left. Always look for clues. There's smoke to my left. Traffic lights are green. There's fire to my left now. So the fire engine's coming down. So it was to my left. So he's going to cut me up at some point. Hence why I take note in when you're driving, you look for clues in driving. Sometimes it can alert you to a problem coming up. So with the smoke to my left and the fire engine coming down, it has to go across me. That's the reason why. Lights are green, could change to red. Lights are red, slowing down, mirrors. And nothing else is going on in the video. Oh, 5 out of 5 again. Again, show you not cheating. 5 out of 5. Again, always review it back, see if you could have improved if the score was low. So like I said, smoke to my left. Fire to my left. So once I saw the fire engine coming down, I'm going to click. And that's just about got a 5 on that. And the second click landed in a 3. But as I said, they'll always give you the highest mark. So hopefully that makes sense. You're looking for anything that's going to call you to slow down or change direction. Right, there's No other comments on there. So there's no comments or questions on that. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you guys then. So in that case, I'm going to wish you guys a happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you guys are studying this week and got a test coming up, I wish you the best of luck. Come back next Sunday, let us know how you got on. But if you are studying, you haven't got a test booked up, what you want to do is come back next week. Jot down any questions, come back next week, type it into the chat, and let's answer those questions and send you in there nice and confident for your test coming up. And just keep yourself safe for the rest of the week. Just keep yourself safe until next Sunday. So enjoy your week. Look after yourselves. And I'll see you soon.